Welcome to Golden Hour Meadow. Today let's talk about paths, and more specifically about a technique that I'm using that I call path softening. So here we have a sort of a typical path that we have here, going through pretty wild areas. You can see the path is being mowed, and on the side of it is grasses sort of leaning in. It looks really great, right? I mean, this is a really great effect. So we've been having success with this in some areas, that's for sure. But as we turn around the corner here, you will see why the paths are sort of a little bit more complicated than that. Because in other wild areas, what's happening is that we've got essentially now we're sort of in the second half of July, and we've got already a lot of things sort of growing on the edges, very tall, and they start leaning in to the path. Here you can see, in fact, there's a willow that pretty much blocks the path, and there's a lot of these little willows just growing right next to the path here. So if I let them grow, this is all gonna just become a jungle in a few years. And there's other things that will grow even taller than they are now, like goldenrods, like asters, and they will just lean all over the place and create a situation where it's really hard to walk through the paths. So what I've been doing for the last few years is that I soften the edges of the path. So you see, I did it here. So you can see the path is on the left, and then sort of you can see this area that I essentially mowed with a sickle mower, and I do this along essentially every single wild area path that I have. And this will look a little weird for the first few weeks, but very quickly the plants will push through, and in 3 to 4 weeks there's the plants here in this area that's been mowed or cut. These plants will be maybe knee high, and that will create a really interesting visual effect where, you know, the path is nice and crisp. Then you have that knee-high area with sort of fresh plants growing there, and then you have, of course, everything else that is just wild and very tall. So the path gets softened, and this is what I do over here in this entire area, and this really works very well. And this is our little tractor, by the way. Just wanted to show you. This is the sickle mower. You can see it's got these blades that move like scissors. It's about 3-4 feet wide, and it just cuts everything at ground level. And like I said, that creates an effect that means that as we go into the fall, we can still walk the paths. Here there's a monarch that just flew there. It's flying, come on little guy. There it is, beautiful. Yeah, we have a few monarchs this year. So there you go. Going back to what I was saying, you know, essentially when we get to the fall, these paths are still gonna be walkable. They're still gonna look good. And all of this is done with a very simple trick of path softening. Thank you for listening.